Well, the Deputy White House press secretary addresses the firing of James Comey, saying President Trump had considered letting the FBI director go since the day he was elected. Speaking at a briefing today, Sarah Sanders said the president had lost confidence in Comey over the last several months. She said the FBI chief went around the chain of command and had shown several missteps and mistakes over the past year, including the recent FBI leaks. White House says it is not aware of any additional firings within the DOJ. Those comments come as the announcement continues to make waves in our nation's capital. One America's John Hines caught up with the President of Judicial Watch for his response.
Hello, I'm here with Tom Fitton, who is the President of Judicial Watch, the watchdog group, government watchdog group. And Mr. Fitton, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the events surrounding the dismissal of Mr. Comey. I know that your group has had a lot of interactions with the FBI, Department of Justice. Talk a little bit about whether or not this is an appropriate action and the timing.
Oh, it's wildly, let's put it this way, it doesn't get any more appropriate than a president making sure that the head of the FBI has the confidence of the American people and can be trusted to do the job. And Mr. Comey has demonstrated repeatedly he doesn't deserve that trust, and he should have been removed a long time ago. Now, the left is complaining Trump is firing him now, suggesting he should have been fired sooner, but not now, and obviously never by Donald Trump. And that has to be discounted. You know, there's no doubt, and both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump agree, that Comey mishandled the investigation of Hillary Clinton. They disagree about the reasons, but for instance, Mr. Comey coming out and saying Mrs. Clinton did all these terrible things, but she shouldn't be prosecuted, was the wrong thing for an FBI director to do. Now, I think she should have been prosecuted, but if she wasn't going to be prosecuted, the FBI director had no business coming out and excoriating her as he did. And that's one of the key reasons he was fired. So I don't understand what the complaints are. We can get someone that's going to get the approval of the majority of the Senate into the FBI now. And, you know, the FBI is a government bureaucracy like anything else, John, and it's not immune from scrutiny. And you would think, if you listen to establishment Washington, that no one can do anything about the FBI director. In fact, he is answerable to the President of the United States, and the President exercised his oversight responsibility to make sure the laws are faithfully executed, and in doing so, he had to remove the FBI director. Good move by President Trump.
This, I think it was the call of the Deputy Attorney General. Perhaps talk a little bit about him and his background and his decision. I know he was approved overwhelmingly by the Senate, so it seems like he has some bipartisan support in presumably making this decision.
Well, he had an independent voice come into the administration, someone obviously appointed by President Trump. But the Deputy Attorney General had been nominated by President Trump, approved by the Senate recently. He was also put into a position as U.S. Attorney by President Obama previously. So he's, you know, he had the approval of both sides of the aisle at one point, and he comes in and does an independent analysis once he's finally in office and finds Comey's conduct lacking and recommends his removal. So that's the way the process is supposed to work, and I'm glad, Senator, because I guarantee you there are a lot of people around Donald Trump who are telling him, don't do this. You're going to get, people are going to accuse you of trying to mess with the FBI and all sorts of outrageous charges, and it's not worth it. But he did the right thing, despite the heck he's getting, and he knew he was going to get for doing it. So he's to be commended for taking this key step for government accountability.
Do you think the hearing that Mr. Comey was at, I guess it was last week, the Senate Judiciary, had a lot to do with this, or perhaps precipitated this move?
Well, he didn't help his cause. I mean, one of the key complaints, basically in the recommendation to fire Comey, is that he sees himself as more than just the FBI director, but as Attorney General. And he once again repeated under oath that he needed to prove intent to prosecute Hillary Clinton over the mishandling classified information. And that's not what the law is. And he's not the one supposed to be interpreting or applying the law that way. He's only the FBI director. He's the investigator. And he makes recommendations where the evidence supports charges one way or another. And whether the law, what the law says is that it's a gross negligence standard. If she did something not caring about the consequences, she can be prosecuted for mishandling classified information. And Comey's misstated the law repeatedly on that, And it's not his position either to kind of correct what the law is by rewriting it as FBI director, but he just thinks he's King Solomon in many respects. He's charged with threading the needle. He's not.
And looking ahead, thoughts on potentially replacements?
Oh, I would go with an anti-establishment pick, but I don't know if that's going to get the support of 51 senators. He has to make sure all the Republicans are on board in the Senate in order to get the FBI director confirmed quickly. In the meantime, I'm concerned there are Comey holdovers at the FBI, and there needs to be a real wholesale change at the leadership of the FBI. So I would bring in a reformer, someone who has obviously a record of law enforcement experience, but also a reform record as well. And because the FBI is in dire need of reform, they're not a perfect agency. They've mishandled a lot of counterterrorism investigations. They need an independent look-see because that agency is as much in need of reform as any other federal bureaucracy here in town.
Perhaps a bit of a house cleaning, that may be. Well, there we are. There you have it, talking to Tom Fitton, who is the president of Judicial Watch, the government watchdog group, who has been, of course, investigating the Hillary Clinton issue and many other having to do with the Department of Justice and government corruption. And back to you all in the studio. Thank you.